Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below.
It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battlemechs.
Hello. With the overwhelming success of the BattleTech Mercenaries Kickstarter, and all the new minis that have been announced, I thought it would be fun to look over the minis I have with me here to film. Like a number of people, I keep my minis in these cheap but effective tackle trays. As I've mentioned several times on my channel, I have several more trays along with what box sets and books I have left still in storage. The good news is some I now know exactly where they are, safe and sound in a closet. Sadly, others are still MIA. While we wait on all the goodies from Catalyst's latest Kickstarter, please join me as I give you a little tour of my BattleTech toys and my unscripted thoughts on them. Hey guys, I figured we'd take a look at another box. In here I have some Heavies and some Assaults. This one will be a little bit shorter because as the mechs get bigger, there's less room in the box for them. But let's go ahead and open this thing up and take a look inside. First up, I have a trio of cataphracts. These are all the same cataphract. They came out of one of the Catalyst Alpha Strike Lance packs. Got the number 33 on the bottom here. Very nice model here. Love the cataphract. This thing just looks crazy. I'll have to find one, but it originally had even crazier design to it. I'll put that up in the corner or something here. All these are the same, so we'll just take a close look at this one. The cataphract is an interesting mech. At first, I didn't think I was going to like it, but then I started playing it, and that PPC AC-10 ammo combo is very mean, and being able to move it around the battlefield and really hit people with it for something that, you know, really looks like they threw together pieces of different mechs, which I think is actually part of its backstory. They built it out of like parts of a Marauder, parts of a Shadowhawk or something like that. In the lore, its origins are crazy and the model looks kind of crazy. This thing has really grown on me. I've really enjoyed playing it. It was a big surprise that I liked it as much as I did. Next up, I have two guillotines. These are also the same. They're from the Catalyst Alpha Strike Lance packs. Number 34 here on the bottom. Another wonderful mini, if the camera will cooperate. Another wonderful mini. Lots of detail on it. A lot of people like the Guillotine 2C because it's beefier and blockier. I like them both. I really liked the Guillotine when I first saw it. It looked interesting. It also has that spotlight on the top of it, which reminded me of the Warhammer, which is never a bad thing. As far as the Guillotine itself, I actually really like it. It jumps, it's fairly quick. It has those 4 medium lasers to really hurt somebody, the SRM to crit seek. The large laser is a little on the weaker side, but upping it to a PPC can hurt your armor or jump, or you have to make a sacrifice for it. This thing is my counter to the Grasshopper. My brother his favorite mech is the Grasshopper, and I often have to fight Grasshoppers. This thing I really like. The LRM5 is fine, but I prefer the SRM6 from the Guillotine. It being a Star League mech, one of the mechs from the 2750 TRO, still kind of feels new to me compared to the 3025 mechs. I obviously didn't have one of these before the Catalyst set, so I kind of knew I was going to like this thing when I got it, and I was happy to see that I liked it as much as I do. Great mech. Speaking of, here we have a Grasshopper. This is the original Catalyst version, the so-called lower quality one. You can see that it does have some defects and flashing on it. The base is also barely a base. It is very, very thin. I don't have a newer one to show you guys to compare it to, but this was another one that really benefited from the redo and the later Catalyst release set, because this base is just, it's barely there compared to the other bases. As far as the Grasshopper itself, it's my brother's favorite mech. I can see why. It's fast, it can jump, its physical attacks are mean, it's got those 4 medium lasers, it's got a large laser, and it's got that LRM5 to kind of pepper you from afar with. Whether the LRM5 or the SRM6 is better is kind of situational. It's nice to have one really long range attack, so something that's faster can't just kind of stay out of its range. And it is nice to be able to draw at least some LRM fire down if somebody's spotting for you or something, but you're never going to spot just for an LRM5. So it's very good. I didn't originally like it, but my brother really smacked me around with it a couple times, and it made me respect this thing. So very nice mech. The Mini needed a little work, and I have seen, and I have somewhere, an upgraded version with the better quality. I just don't have it here, and it did benefit a lot from the better quality. Next up, I have a trio of Warhammers. These are all the same Warhammer, it's just two of them have been painted, and one of them's the original as it came in the 3rd edition box set. We'll briefly look at the one without the paint on it. My example actually has a defect. The spotlight didn't finish casting. It had a bubble or something in the mold, and most of the spotlight just isn't there. So, quality control back then. Otherwise, the Mini looks really nice. It has pretty good detail, especially considering how early in Battletech history for FASA and stuff what the release was like. I think I'm confusing the camera here. There we go. Yeah, a lot of good detail, and it's the unseen version. So the anime mechs just, they are pretty mechs, and this is a mech that people fell in love with. It's one of the mechs I fell in love with because this thing was in Mech Warrior 1, and honestly was one of my favorite mechs from Mech Warrior 1. So whenever I think 70-tonner, I think Warhammer, and this thing is hard to beat. It's fast enough. It has the 2 PPCs, which, 2 PPCs are dangerous even in, modern, quote, modern Battletech. and it can handle itself with just about anything. Its 2 medium lasers can, protect it up close. It's got the machine gun to deal with infantry. It's got the missile launcher, the SRM-6 for crit seeking. It's just a great all-around mech. It's honestly one of my favorite mechs in all of BattleTech. Picky and choosy, I actually like the hot hammer better, where they rip out the machine guns and put into flamers. Everybody knows that's watched me for any length of time. I love the flamer, so I'm one of those weird people that do. But fight infantry a couple of times and you'll learn to appreciate it too. Plus you're removing something that can cause an ammo explosion. Having 1 critical of ammo as opposed to 2, you're having your chance at dying, and because of a lucky hit, or so yep, just can't speak well enough for the Warhammer. Love this thing. It's a beautiful mini. Here I have the new Catalyst Re-Seen Warhammer. Let me get that compared to you to the FASA Warhammer. The redesign is nice. It still captures the look and feel of the old Warhammer with just making a few updates. I still prefer the old Warhammer. It's just nostalgic for me. This one, I think, real world kind of makes a little more sense with the missile launcher being horizontal like that versus vertical on this one. The new Warhammer is slightly larger, but not overly so. You could really easily say these are the same mech, just, a different assembly line or different year model or something. So, yeah. Now that I have a full lance of Warhammers, one of these days I'm just going to have to go, yeah, screw you guys, full lance of Warhammers. See how I do. There we go. Got a lance of Orions. These two are the same. They are from the FASA City Tech box set. Pretty good detail. The arms look a little strange, but other than that, the pose is a little boring with it just kind of standing there. But it makes sense. It's kind of in firing position. It's really nice, especially considering back then how early this was. I think this is from the 90s actually, but good and detailed. Only a few little things, little defects here and there, but all in all, a really nice mini. Next up, I have a metal mini. This is all one piece. Here we go, all one piece. Got pretty good detail on this thing. It is hefty. I think this one's an official one because of how clean the base is. It still has, a little bit of thing here, but the stamp from Ral Partha is really good, so I think this one might be a legit one. Don't know for certain though. Don't play this thing very much because since it's so heavy and I don't have it on a hex base, it tends to fall over. Though I do like the metals when they come in one piece. Putting 1 or 2 pieces together, not so bad, but not having to put any pieces together, even better. Just don't have more like, the Unseen Marauder, where you got to be an engineer to get the thing put together and get it to stay together. The Orion itself, you can tell that they used this pose and this mold as the basis for the early, for the Catalyst plastic version. Another one that came in one of the Lance packs, number 35 here. It likewise has really good detail. Really good detail on it. It's kind of hard to see the difference, really. I mean, a lot of the detail is the same. So either they used an altered version of this mold to make this, or somebody copied it really, really well. So, yeah, really nice. I like the Orion. It's just, again, when I have my option, I'm going to either go Warhammer or I'm going to go Guillotine for 70. This thing's 75, so it's really hard to compete with the Marauder. But I see why people like this thing. It's just too much ammo in it for me, and for some reason these things tend to blow up when I play them. The LRM AC-10 medium laser combo is really sweet though, so definitely a nice mech, and Alexander Kerensky knew what he was doing when he piloted one of these things. You could definitely do worse. Next up, I have a trio of awesomes. Gotta love the awesome. It is hard to argue with the awesome. This thing is a death machine. And I believe it's Tex's favorite mech, and I can fully see why. It is hard to argue with it, and I know this thing is a lot of people's favorite. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. This one is the original Catalyst Awesome, the so-called lower quality one. You can see it has a few little quality issues on it where, the venting is on the mech in kind of bad places. Some flash, kind of blurry details, but all in all, not bad. This is one where you kind of had a little advantage on the original Catalyst one. The arms came off, but not all the way. They came off here at the, I guess, elbow? I don't know what you would call it. You could, if you could get these off, repose them slightly. But the way they go together, there's a slot that it goes down into and is glued. So you don't have very many posing options, even if you could get the arms off. But at least you could, and you could kind of fiddle with it and maybe raise this arm, or I wouldn't raise the gun arm, but raise the other arm up or something and give it a slightly different pose. We'll compare that to the upgrade in quality. This one has a really kind of silvery color, and again, has the textured base, whereas this one has the smooth base and has the number at the bottom. Side by side here, you can tell that the new redo did a lot to pop those details. You can just tell there's a gun on the arm with a clear opening, versus here it just sort of ends in a kind of like a blob. You don't have the venting flash there. All of the details are just a little crisper, a little easier to see. Again, this time the arms do not come off, and with this mech I think that's fine. Like I said, your reposing option when you can get these arms off is extremely limited, so just go ahead and lock them in there so it doesn't have a chance of falling apart. Great mini. And then this is of course, the modern Catalyst version. It is quite a bit different scale. This thing, height-wise is pretty much the same, but this thing is beefy. And I mean, you can feel it. This is light. This thing has got some plastic in it, man. It is much thicker. Much more modern looking. This thing, one of the reasons I like this thing so much is it looks like an old, evil robot from a Flash Gordon serial or something. It's definitely got a 30s future vibe to it, whereas this awesome looks a little more modern and like a war machine. I can't really say which one I like better. I guess I still like the old one better just because it just looks kind of ridiculous. you know, this thing should come out kind of like Robbie the Robot or something. It looks like it's something that would work for Tsar, Conqueror of the Galaxy or something. Whereas this looks more like a mech. But I don't know, this thing just is one of the ones I fell in love with. I swap them out often, so my preference for this one is not so much that I don't like this one and don't use it pretty regularly. As far as the awesome itself, what can I say? The name says it all. This thing is awesome. It's covered in armor. It does move slow, but those 3 PPCs, man, they just wreck stuff. Especially if this thing can step down into water and take advantage of firing all 3 of them every round. Small laser, whatever. I mean, you could have left it off, in my opinion, or, you know, go ahead and strip a little bit of armor off of it and go ahead and put the flamer on there, because that is really this thing's only weakness is infantry. Having all the infantry run up on it, and the PPCs just can't kill the infantry fast enough, and the small laser just isn't enough to cut it. So yeah, strip a little armor, put a flamer in it, and you know, that solves a lot of problems. But oh my god, this thing is called the Awesome and is a legend for a reason. Whenever you see this thing come on the battlefield, you know you're in for a bad day. Especially if the rolls are good. Oh my god. Next up, I have a charger. I did a whole video on this thing. Tex did a video on it. I did a response because, you know, I had my own opinions. You can watch that, and I go into detail about what I think this thing was used for, what I think of the mech. As far as the Mini, it is a nice Mini. It is the, you know, 5 small laser version. They catalyst the old style. They didn't make one that has, you know, the additional weapons and is a little slower, just the classic one. I would have liked to get a plastic one in this scale that had the additional weapons, just so you had both of them. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this thing came in one of the Lance packs, one of the Alpha Strike Lance packs. So the quality on it is very good, lots of detail. It's got its little pistol there. To give you the short version of the charger and how I feel about it, it's very situational. This thing is a great spotter to call in LRM fire. It's also good at moving across the map, and if, you know, in the rules that I'm writing where there's actual mission objectives and stuff, you can use this thing really well to get close and scan something, because it can stand there and take punishment for a while. The only the difference I would make is remove maybe 2 of the small lasers and put 1 medium laser on there. That way you have at least some way of defending yourself against light mechs and combat vehicles other than your physical attacks. But, you know, Tex is right. This thing can come out of the mist or around the corner and, you know, really put a hurting on anything, because it can take damage and still get its physical in. So, yeah, this thing was a joke for a lot of people, but in the right hands, man, this thing can be dangerous. Next up, I have some Victors. These are again from the FASA City Tech box set. These things, I mean, you can really see that AC-20 in the arm, man. That is a big gun. I can say this is not my favorite version of the Victor. This thing, that for whatever reason, they made the waist, I mean, this is like a underweight Victor. Its waist is too small. It needs to be blockier. Otherwise, it has good detail. You can really see the jump jets on the back there. They definitely got the the scale and feel of that AC-20, right? Whether it's an AC-20 or Gauss rifle or whatever you want to put in that arm. Pretty good detail, especially being this old, being FASA. Good sculpt. I have played the Victor several times. It is a risky mech to play. You tend to get kind of overextended trying to get that AC-20 into play and using your jump jets. And this thing, like the Hunchback, tends to draw a lot of fire. A lot of people see a Victor and start targeting it because of that AC-20. So it's high risk, high reward. I do like playing it. I just, throwing this thing down, you're giving up possibly an awesome for it. So in a city, this thing can be really mean. In an open field, not so much. Little situational, but still an iconic mech. And aside from it looking a little underweight, still a good mini to have and has pretty good detail on it. Alright, to sort of wrap things up, I have a pair of Zeuses. This is the original Zeus from the old Catalyst sets. As you can see, it's another victim of kind of fuzzy detail and having flash on it and having vent holes and stuff in bad places. Still serviceable, still look pretty decent on the battle map, but the step up in detail is very nice. They sharpened all of the details, really made them pop, got rid of those vent holes that were causing so many defects. I mean, it's just covered in them. Out of the old minis, probably the worst of them for flashing and detail loss and having those vent holes everywhere, whereas this one really fixed that problem and just looks beautiful. Just looks really good. Can't say that I'm a big fan of the Zeus. It has its moments, especially if you need to, for assault mechs need to get somewhere in a hurry. Its extra speed can really move you across the map. It's just the AC-5 is just not good enough for a mech this size. The PPC version is much better. It is a little hotter. One of the things I like to do is to strip out the LRM, put a PPC in, and put like 2 SRM6s in. That makes it a pain, because you can kind of open people's armor up with the PPC and the large laser, and then use the SRM6 to really get in there and crit seek. There are other versions of the mech which are pretty decent too, but just the AC-5 on a mech this big as its kind of primary gun is kind of ridiculous. So, but still beautiful design, definite improvement in quality, and if you're playing Steiner, I guess this is your recon lance, mainstay of your recon lance. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for the minis. As kind of a bonus, I thought I would show you guys my doodad box. This is where I just kind of keep stuff that I use to actually play the game. I have some piloting cards and some Alpha Strike cards that I've never even opened. Have some cotton here to simulate the smoke when a mech blows up. I have my jewels here for piloting checks, adjusted piloting checks, and consciousness rolls. I have a D20 in there just in case it's needed for something, some D10s in case somebody's got some hovercraft or some helicopters that can actually, get actual high modifiers. Got some dice in here. These are colored dice that Dollar Tree used to sell back in the day. I used to buy them and give them to people. I kind of wish I had stocked up on them when I had the chance. I've got a set of dice here that is actual BattleTech dice. I think somebody gave me these many years ago. It'll focus there. I'm pretty sure it's Clan Novacat Paradise. Yeah, just kind of hold on to these. I don't play with them very much. Down here I have a cylinder. Let me go ahead and pull that out. This is a cylinder of little micro D6s. I don't play with these very much because I actually had more at one time and they are so easy to lose. But if you're on a board that is very, very busy, and it's safe to put these down for your modifiers, they can save you some space. Here they are in comparison to a regular D6, so you can see they are quite a bit smaller. Like I said, I don't play with them much because they're so easily lost. But if I am playing somewhere where the table is fairly safe and steady, and there's not much chance of them falling off, I'll play with them, save some room if it's real tight space. I have a set of dice that I got with a Chessex Poundo dice. I call these my ice dice. They kind of look like ice cubes to me. I'll play with these occasionally when I have a whole bunch of mechs on one side. They are kind of a pain sometimes because they are transparent enough that sometimes you'll lose track of them. I actually originally had more of these, but one or two of them have disappeared over the years. Next, I have a big group of these just basic white dice. These are the ones that Dollar Tree, to my knowledge, still sells. I played Shadowrun for a while and I picked up a ton of these. I actually have a whole big bag of them. And I threw a whole bunch of them in here for if there's a really big force or something, or just to have them to use them. And then finally, here are my casino dice. A friend of mine that I played with for a while, he got me to using these. Before, I just used regular dice, but he had a pair of these casino dice that he actually got from Vegas. I don't know if they still hand them out anymore, but at one time, they canceled them somehow, so obviously you can't cheat. But they would do something to them that they could see the difference. And he said back in the day, you could just ask for them and the casino would give you sometimes a whole big bag of them as a souvenir, because they were no more used to the casino once they had reached a certain point. Playing with them, they feel better in your hand, and frankly, they're, easier to read. Rolling these things, they're easier to see. So that's another reason I use them. And, they're kind of head turners. People look at them and see them and go, wow, okay. And I originally I have 2 pair of each of these colors, kind of a purple color, red and blue. I want to get some like yellows and some greens and stuff I'll eventually get my hands on. I had some more reds and blues at one time, but I gave them out to people to try to get people playing BattleTech and stuff. they're nice also to have because they're real easy. These two, the red and the purple, tend to kind of blend together some, but if you roll a pair of reds and a pair of blues, you can match them up by the color really easily. So you can get several rolls for one pitch of the dice. That's another reason why I want the greens and yellows and oranges and stuff, so that I can, roll 4 or 5 sets of dice all at once and easily be able to match them up. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the mechs and, how I store some of the goodies here. Let me know what you thought of the mechs, if there's anything that, if I gave you any good ideas on using some things for playing, if you have any suggestions. Looking forward eventually to getting all of the Kickstarter stuff. Let me know below what you think. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.